Welcome back, dear viewers. We're joined here in the series of Hala Kuwait with Mercedes Vazquez, GMESK Holding Chair, Banking and Finance at AM Champ Kuwait and podcast host. Of course, Mercedes, it's very good to have you here in the series of Hala Kuwait. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me again. It's a great honor being on your show, and Ramadan Mubarak to you and all your audience.
Thank you. Ramadan Mubarak to you as well. And our dear audience are really interested about your experience as a European right here in Kuwait, especially during Ramadan.
Yes, so this will be my 7th Ramadan in Kuwait as a Spanish citizen and therefore European citizen. I have to say that I really enjoy Ramadan here. The hospitality is like no other, and the fact that I also like the most is how Kuwait allows to have interfaith dialogue, because it's all about constructive dialogue that allows us to understand and to reach that bridge, because we do share a lot in common. So it's more elements that bring us together rather than what set us apart. So education is enlightenment, and I really appreciate and condemn the great role that the state of Kuwait is having in this aspect.
Thank you so much for saying that. It's so beautiful to hear you say that. Of course, it's a pleasure to have you here, and during especially the Ramadan season, I think all the families and friends are gathering around, and we'd like to know what is the famous or the most likable Kuwaiti tradition that you have.
Oh my God, what is there not to love? There is really so much, from the iftars to the gabkas. Kuwait's hospitality is like no other. I have to say I haven't experienced hospitality anywhere else in the world like I have been experiencing in Kuwait. I have been traveling to so many countries, and I really love the hospitality here. You know, besides of all the food and the gatherings and all the factors, I was asking a friend of mine, how do you prepare for Ramadan? And she told me something very beautiful. She said, well, you know, I just prepare my soul. So I think that was a beautiful statement, and that reflects so much about the faith and the culture.
Of course, I think that's beautiful as well, because I think it really has a lot to do with the soul and your faith and how to be patient, especially during Ramadan. I think there's a lot of giving around, charity as well. And when it comes to the women, I would like to know more about the women in technology. So how does technology impact women?
Well, technology impacts literally everyone on this planet Earth, because I had like to think of it as an interconnected puzzle, and the fact that everyone somehow relies on or depends or drives impact through technology. And so I would like to say perhaps women drive impact through technology, and great impact throughout my humble experience so far. I have been very fortunate to empower organizations of all sorts of sizes and industries on their digital transformation journey, as well as to have an impact on communities and individuals by fostering mentorship, capacity building, skilling, and of course education from schools to universities in terms of STEM careers specifically in general, and technology specifically. So STEM stands for science, technology, economics, and mathematics, and so technology is the factor that I am most passionate about.
Of course, and since your passion is mostly about technology, we'd like to know, what do you think about the place of women, especially in technology?
Yeah, so I would like to provide you with some statistics for the sake of having a more elaborate answer. So globally, according to a public research by PwC, women held 5% of leadership roles in technology. Now, according to another research by Citibank, closing that gender gap could boost global GDP by $5 trillion. So we know there is a direct interconnection between having that inclusion and enhancing global GDP as an opportunity. We're observing fragmentations at a global scale right now, and so therefore I believe it's essential to incorporate those perspectives that we can all bring. And basically, when women thrive, society's health and wealth rise together. So there are two critical moments, I would say, for women in technology. The first one will be when they are in their schools, because they need to have role models in STEM careers. The second one is when they are in the workplace and they are in that leadership role. So it's pretty much about the shattering the glass ceiling, as the saying goes.
Of course, I think it's amazing to see women thrive in technology and all through the aspects of work as well. And when it comes to the examples of a successful woman, we're very interested to know some of the examples that you would like to share with us today.
Absolutely. My personal role model is Melinda French Gates, because when she first started out in the big tech, she was the only woman in the room, and it's never a good thing to be the only woman in the room. She had done so much for women through her personal companies, and also she has a book which is called The Moment of Lift. So I personally, whenever I have one of those moments when I don't know how to navigate through a situation, I rely on that book. There is also Grace Hopper, who is an American scientist, and she was the first woman who did programming languages for computers. And so every year there is a conference that celebrates her in the United States, and that's a landmark for everyone who's interested in technology. And thirdly, I would also like to highlight a lady who works in the NASA. She didn't really have it, her name is Diana Trujillo. She didn't really have it very easy, but what I admire of her, besides of her relentless journey, is the fact that she does not only have technical skills, but she has innovative skills, because she leads the missions to Mars. And so obviously stepping into the uncharted territories requires a lot of innovation and creative thinking.
Of course, and they are all amazing women role models, and it's very important to have someone like that to look up for. And I think women really did a lot when it comes to technology and innovation and creating. I think it's amazing to spread awareness about women in general, especially in technology. And when it comes to the technology, I think that women created a lot of technology. So can you share some of the examples that women have created so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I was mentioning, Grace Hopper was the first woman who created the programming languages for computers. So if Grace hadn't done that sort of invention, we wouldn't be where we are right now. Also, I would like to highlight Sheryl Lindbergh. So Sheryl was an executive at Meta, formerly known as Facebook, and besides of the great roles that she had done in the company, she had also founded an initiative which is called Lean In, which is a global scale initiative as a circle of women to have like a safe space and community.
Of course, I think that's very important to actually have your space in the community as well for your workplace. And when it comes to your podcast, you have a podcast, and we're very interested. How do you choose the topics in the podcast? It must be every time something different, something interesting, something that appeals to you. So we'd like to know, how do you choose them?
Yeah, thank you so much. So the podcast is called Tapping into the Untapped, and it was born out of my sole desire to generate a positive impact and to increase representations in fields where diverse talents and women remain underrepresented. And so as a natural bridge builder, because I love building bridges between different continents, I connect with different thought leaders in industries as diverse as foreign service, cybersecurity, energy transition, climate change, environmental, social, governance, artificial intelligence. Basically, all of these are mission critical industries to reimagine the future, and so it's essential that us, half of the population, are involved through our innovation and fair competition to generate a positive impact.
Of course, and I think this is a very interesting topic to discuss during your podcast, especially that this is something that appeals to you and you're very passionate about. I think the dear viewers are really interested when it comes to the passion of your desires when it's technology, innovation. As you mentioned, there's a lot of different topics to discuss during the podcast, and when it comes to technology as well for the women. So what do you think the future holds for women, especially in technology? Because women have gone so far for now, and we'd like to know, what do you see for the future?
Well, I believe that our future is bright. There has been some progress if we compare it to the previous years, but if we look at global statistics like the one I was bringing into our conversation by PwC or different researchers out there, statistics still show that there is a long way to go, because we are half of the population and we require parity in terms of representation, fair representation through fair competition. And so I'm excited for what the future holds. I think there are still something to work on in terms of systematic barriers, but very excited for all of our innovations in fields as crucial as perhaps the perspective we can bring into artificial intelligence ethics, regulatory factors of technology, and cybersecurity. We have really great developments in that area, and I think through foster inclusion, we can really contribute to reimagine our economies, to diversify the GDP, because as Melinda French Gates had said, empower a woman and a community will thrive.
That is well said. Of course, Mercedes, we'd like a last word of advice for dear viewers who are watching right now, especially women who are very much interested in technology as much as you. So what would you like to say to them who are watching us right now?
I think having courage, perhaps, and taking leaps of faith, it's something that has helped me. I'm not in a position to advise others, but what has helped me is that also constant skilling, reskilling. We're living in a very fast-paced environment where everything is changing so fast, and so yesterday's methodologies may no longer bring responses to today's challenges. Therefore, they need to constantly innovate, and innovation and that curiosity and growth mindset can be obtained through skilling. So I would say those are the key factors, and obviously pay it forward.
Of course, we thank you so much for being here in the studios of Hala Kuwait and for your time and sharing this valuable information with us. Thank you so much, Mercedes.
My great honor. Ramadan Mubarak. Thank you so much.
Ramadan Mubarak to you as well. Well, dear viewers, we had this Mercedes Vazquez, GM ESQ Holding Chair, Banking and Finance at AmCham Kuwait and podcast host. Let's move on to our next report. Stay tuned.